I just did a video last night, I think it's up now, regarding the Democratic National Committee chairmanship race. And I had indicated last night that the race was actually between Keith Ellison, who I hope wins, Tom Perez, who I hope absolutely loses, and Peter, what was his last name? I forget what his last name is, but he's the mayor from the city of in Indianapolis, and the city, I'm drawing a blank on it. Hang on a second, let me get my actual thoughts together on this. Okay, that took about 1 second. He's the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. And I said pretty much everybody else, weren't even going to be considered. Well, I guess it only took about 12 hours, but Jaimie Harrison, the South Carolina Democratic chairman, is basically bowing out of the race, and he's throwing his support behind Tom Perez. Now, in my opinion, and I'll state it again, Tom Perez is the worst person for this job. He is the establishment candidate. And it's always the case when a person is arguing, and people today, they are really not all that interested in the establishment. They are more interested in the philosophy and what people are going to do. So when the establishment, i.e. status quo, is brought up, they always want to shy away from or run away from labels. But when the progressive candidates come out there, they got no problem accepting the label of being a progressive when going after the establishment. Here's the news clip that Craig Melvin, the interview that Craig Melvin did with Jaimie Harrison, where he speaks about the fact that he bowed out of the race.
Not all the attention this week is focused on conservatives in the GOP. Democrats are expected to vote this Saturday for the new chair of the party. 8 candidates are vying for that job. The winner will replace the interim chair, Donna Brazil, who took the job after Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned last summer amid that controversy sparked by the leaks of DNC emails. Let's bring in one of the candidates for that job, South Carolina Democratic Party Chairman Jaimie Harrison. Good to see you again, my friend.
It's good seeing you, Craig.
You've been campaigning hard, making the case that the only guy who can run a party is the guy who's run the party on the state level. What's the latest on the run?
Well, the latest, Craig, is, listen, before I became a party chair, I was also the floor director in the whip operation for Congressman Jim Clyburn, who was the majority whip. So I know how to count votes. And at this juncture, the votes are just not there for us in our campaign. We've run a very, very strong campaign going all across the country talking about our vision of rebuilding state parties. But the votes are just not there. It looks like it's going to be a race between Tom Perez and Keith Ellison. And as a state party chair, I have a vote in that race, and I'm going to lend my support and my vote to Tom Perez. I think he is the builder, the organizer, the visionary, the fighter that we need in the party right now. I love Keith, and I love all of the candidates in this race. They have really showcased that there's so much talent in the Democratic Party. And at the end of the day, after Saturday is done, we need all of us to get back together to work as a team to rebuild this party.
You're dropping out. You're throwing your support behind Tom Perez, Labor Secretary, of course, under President Obama. Most who follow Democratic politics would say that he is the establishment guy. And here is Keith Ellison, who is the anti-establishment guy, endorsed by Senator Bernie Sanders. If Tom Perez becomes head of the DNC, wouldn't it just be status quo? Wouldn't it just be the same sort of leadership that we've seen over the last 4 to 8 years?
That's exactly what it would be, except they would just try to repackage it with some quippy or snappy quips about how they have a new philosophy. But it would be the same philosophy because Tom Perez is, in my opinion, more of a clone of Barack Obama than anything else.
Listen, I don't buy these labels of establishment and anti-establishment. Listen, Keith is a congressman who's been there for 10 years. And
funny thing about it, you might not buy those labels, but the people that are voting buy those labels. So what does that say about you and your grasp on reality?
And if you're talking about establishment, then being in Congress, being a secretary, I mean, all of these guys, in the end of the day, they're just good Democrats. They're progressive Democrats who are fighting for working people in this country. And so I think as a party, we need to step back away from these establishment, anti-establishment, and all that hoo-ha, and focus on what the real problem is. The real problem is Donald Trump and a rubber stamp Republican Congress. That's the problem that we have right now. And we need to start showing the American people, we need to start showing Democrats that we're about fighting for them, that the infighting within the party, leave 2016 and the 2016 archives of history. Let's focus on 2018. Let's focus on 2020, how we retake the Congress, how we retake state houses and governorships. All of this other stuff is just noise. We need to focus on what the real battle is, and that's pushing back against Donald Trump and the rubber stamp Congress that he has.
All right, that's excellent rhetoric, but if you use the establishment game plan or book, you're not going to win. Okay, this is a battle between the establishment wing of the Democratic Party versus the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. And if the progressive wing of the Democratic Party doesn't win this battle, you're looking at a severely hampered Democratic Party, which doesn't have a prospect of obtaining any type of say-so in the running of government for, in my opinion, at least the next 4 years or more. I say 4 years because by the time the Republicans get through destroying our American way of life, and I do mean American way of life, and creating more problems for the American people than they absolutely solve, it'll be at that point that the American people more than likely wake up, vote these clowns out of office, and put in people that are actually going to try to fix problems rather than ignoring and creating problems. This guy, in my opinion, is one of those guys. And I believe that he's throwing his support behind Tom Perez in order to more than likely try to obtain some type of a position in the DNC.
Back on your bid for the chairmanship, what do you think happened? Why do you think you came up short?
Well, I mean, listen, it's, Craig, to be quite honest, it's hard to run against a secretary and a congressman. Listen, I'm a kid that grew up in Orangeburg, South Carolina, to a teen mom who had to leave school in order to take care of me. And I've had a great life, a great political career, and I'm very, very fortunate. And only in America, only in this party can you see someone with my background who grew up the way that I did on food stamps. We've lost a number of our homes, and to have the ability to sit here and go on television and debate about the future of the Democratic Party. That is why our party really is the party of the people of this great nation. We look like the nation, but we also understand the value and the strength of having that diversity within our party. And so I'm proud of the campaign that we ran. And listen, I'm a young guy. I'm not going anywhere.
40.
Let me ask you a question. Could you flip this guy for Tim Scott and hear pretty much the same thing, yet one guy's a Republican, one guy's a Democrat? And there may not be an ounce worth of difference between these two guys other than the rhetoric that each of them expounds.
2 years old, if I remember correctly.
41.
No, I just aged you. Hey, you just used the past tense. You just said I've had a great political career. Are you done?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Listen,
okay.
I'm not running for chairman of the South Carolina Democratic Party again. We have done some amazing things. You know, we're probably one of the few states in the nation that is actually building a bench of Democratic talent. We got 70, almost 80 Clyburn fellows that we're training to be the next generation of candidates, county party leaders, and campaign field operatives. So I'm proud of the things that we've been able to accomplish in South Carolina. It's time for some other people to step into that void, but I'm not leaving. You know, this is about creating a country so that your children and my son can live in a world where we don't have someone who's attacking the media, who's attacking the judiciary, who's basically causing fear for immigrant families and transgender kids. That is what I'm going to fight for each and every day. That's what I've been fighting for my entire life, and I'm going to continue that fight.
I would love to know what kind of training that he's giving those 80 people, and that's not saying that he's not giving them good training. I will counter that by saying that Keith Ellison did the same thing, but to his credit, 3 of his proteges have already been elected to either state or local offices, and he has a bunch of people in the wings that are ready to step into elected public office as well.
Jaimie Harrison, South Carolina Democratic Party chair, announcing that he is out of the race, throwing his support behind Labor Secretary Tom Perez. Jaimie.
All right, and if you'll notice, he didn't say what his plans are since he's not running for South Carolina chair. I absolutely wonder what they are, if not to be included with Tom Perez if he wins that particular election.